So, folks, we're back at it again with another call from the Transatlantic Call-In Show. It's a show that I've been co-hosting now for months, and you should go check it out. There are lots of different calls. I've been on several different episodes now. I co-host. I'm trying to co-host every other week, so you can check that out. But the show itself is on every week on Thursday. So go check it out. And guess what? The show, the Transatlantic Call-In Show, is on The Line. And if you don't know what that is, there's a link down in the description to The Line. It has a lot of different shows on it. Has a lot of different great content creators, some of whom you may be familiar with, others of whom you may not be. Go check it out. There's also a link down there to the Patreon and the merch store. A lot of really cool stuff. This particular episode was with Josie Caballero. Go check it out. Josie's also running for office, so go check out Josie and support her candidacy. And of course, also, folks, if you don't know what the Transatlantic Call-In Show is, it is a show where people can call in, oddly enough, and ask any question they want about transness. Whether it's for advice, or they want to have a spicy debate, or they have just a genuine question they've always wanted to know, or if they've been getting some conflicting information and they don't really know what to believe, we're here to help you out. So call in and let us know what's on your mind. It's a great show. I have enjoyed every single episode I've been on, and we get a very wide variety of different calls. So, of course, also like, comment, and subscribe here. But also, if you want to check out the full episode, there's a link down in the description to that too. So, like, comment, subscribe here, and like, comment, and subscribe over there. It's a win-win. Go do the things. And you can watch live again every Thursday. Go check that out. And I hope you enjoy this back and forth in this call.
Luke, him from Kentucky, has a question about trans athletes. You are live on the line with Jack and Josie. Tell us about it. What is your question about trans athletes?
Well, I would like to preface it. Well, first, thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to preface it with, I fully support trans people and their civil rights and their pursuit of, civil rights. And I understand that things have gotten worse under the current administration. But my big question is just more of just asking your opinion. Do you feel that people such as Leah Thomas are a bit of a stumbling block for the trans movements, seeking, equal rights and to be treated as equals, just based on how much of just being that there's only 2% of trans athletes in the NCAA, but how much negativity kind of rained down when she was competing?
Short answer is no. I don't think so. I mean, she competed within the rule set. She didn't break any rules. We see that, when you actually lay out the story correctly and not the one that's propagandized, you'll see that she was a top athlete when she wasn't on hormones in the I guess, boy division or men division. And then after she started her hormones, she still competed in the males division for the allotted time she was supposed to, and fell to I think a little over 200 positioning amongst all of the men in the divisions across the country in the male division. So we see a marketed drop there. And then we also can see that she won one race. So it's she won a 500, I think it was a 500 meter, if I can recall. I haven't talked about her in a minute. And that is a endurance race. And if you know anything about swimming, there's something called sandbagging. So essentially what you do is you kind of you're either a sprinter or you are endurance. It's very rare unless you're Katie Ledecky, who is arguably one of the greatest swimmers of all time, who is a cis woman, by the way. Unless you're Katie Ledecky, you are not going to be the best in all sport of swimming. So she ended up getting first place in one race. She ended up getting second place or fifth place in other races. And so the idea that she was anything special is kind of laughable. She's just like average. No close to any records, no close to anything that is even close to Katie Ledecky's scores. So no, I don't think so. Jack, do you want to say anything about that?
No, I think that was pretty comprehensive. I thought you did a good job.
Yeah, thank you. What about you,
Okay.
Luke?
Well, I mean, looking just back at history, I know there's kind of an untrue narrative that surrounds Claudette Colvin back in the African American Civil Rights Movement. She was kind of like the first Rosa Parks, and there is a story that may or may not be true that she was pregnant, so they found someone else they found Miss Parks to kind of be the face of those unfair Jim Crow laws. So I just, again, I'm from Kentucky, so I grew up in a very conservative environment, and over time, I'm trying to deprogram myself from all that. So I just kind of wanted to speak with someone about that.
Yeah, I
Because
understand.
it's just, yeah, like just going for a greater understanding of it,
Absolutely. And so the way
without
that
being
I
without
look
being bigoted about it.
I understand, and I understand you're in good faith, and so the way that I look at it is things got out of whack when the government started getting involved with this, because before the Olympics since 2003 were allowing trans women in, we've still had zero trans people in women win any type of gold medals in any single division sport, and you also have, sports, including like, boxing in Florida. They have regulations that are very strict on allowing trans women in. And guess what? They still got in too. I always say that let the professionals of those sports be involved in who is allowing who to play, as long as, they have an opportunity for everybody to do it, even in the most strictest terms, right? And I'm more moderate on this than I think a lot of other, trans people are on this topic, including hosts on the show. I'm more moderate on the idea of allowing the sports organizations do it, as long as they allow some form of way to allow trans people to compete. And once the government started getting involved, what we started to see is young kids being targeted. All of the bills that we are seeing across the United States that are being passed on trans issues, when it comes to athletes, are affecting a handful of kids. Like, I mean, like kids that are
Yes,
like
ultra
12,
minority. Yes.
my ultra minority, right? You're talking, and I think when I think it was even Kentucky, or I think it might have been Kentucky actually. There's a story that actually happened where there was a young girl who started a field hockey team, and they're at her school, and there wasn't enough women to play in the field hockey team, so she helped recruit enough girls to then play and actually field a field hockey team. Kentucky then passed a law that banned her from the team that she created, and she was the only one. There was no other trans athletes in the whole state, but they banned her, this one girl, and the state decided to waste legislator time to pass that bill. You see this all over the country where they're fear mongering that this thing is happening. Not one trans athlete has ever won a scholarship for the NCAA. Only 10 NCAA trans people exist in sports. And also, there's
Yeah.
510,000 NCAA competitive players in college sports. And then you have the edge cases of unremarkable trans people winning an award here and there. And I'm going to tell you, if you're trans, you're likely to be bad at sports. That's what the data tells us. Data does not tell us if you're trans, you're going to be good at sports. In fact, I don't know very many trans people who are amazing sports athletes. In fact, I only know one, and she's in New Zealand, and she plays softball, and she's playing at a semi-pro level. And that is the only trans athlete that I know that is actually winning awards, going out and doing that. She's playing softball in New Zealand. And so for me, I find it very annoying that this has become the narrative when we are in so much. And I just spoke a lot. I'm going to let my host here, Jack, say some words as well.
Yeah, and I don't see a compelling reason to cave to the conservative narrative on trans people in sports. There was just maybe like a month, maybe 2 months ago, the most comprehensive analysis of like every study done on like trans people in sports. And it found that there was no significant difference after anywhere from 1 to 3 years rather on HRT. There's no significant difference between like trans women and cis women when it comes to like sporting achievement. Like there's just no reason to cave on this narrative. There's no reason to throw like trans people or even a small segment of trans people under the bus when it comes to this topic. And the data doesn't really bear it out. The political situation in America doesn't even really bear it out. Most people support trans rights. And honestly, I think all that really is necessary right now is for people to stand up and full-throatedly defend trans people. Like that's really kind of where it comes down to for me. Like I don't see this as an overarching issue um that anyone should be capitulating on. And the fact that there are some people doing that, I think just kind of speaks to their pre-existing biases.
Okay. Well, thank you both so much. That was illuminating for me. And like I said, I just wanted to, I don't have very many avenues around here to speak with trans folks. So I just wanted to call in.
Yeah. And Luke, I just want to add this as well, really quickly. In the study that Jack is talking about, which is the British Journal of Sports Medicine, they just released these conclusions. I actually was speaking at a Maryland hearing. I was a witness on a bill that was trying to ban trans sports for athletes. And one of the things that this person did, this senator, decided to try to cite this in her advantage, saying that male athletes and female athletes have a biological disadvantage. But she was talking about the control group. She was talking about the control group of people who are not on hormone replacement therapy have an advantage over women, which is so funny. Yeah,
bad
right.
Information all the way around. Yeah.
It is. And then when you look at the conclusion of that study, you'll see that, yes, the conclusion of what Jack said is this. And to bring the beyond the studies here, I want you to think about like the logic of this one. And I don't think people understand some of the ways that you think about it. So I'm sure you hear often that trans women are taller on average, have longer limbs on average, have more bulk on their body than average. And, have you heard that? Have you heard those things before?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. That's a standard.
Okay. Great.
Point.
Great. Okay. So now let me posit this to you. So would you agree that body that went through male puberty and had these tall features and everything, and by the way, cis women also have these features as well, but for particularly trans women, would you say that body that was developed under male puberty was designed to have testosterone in that body?
I would say, like, as a biological function, as it was born with the male chromosomes and went through puberty, yes.
Okay, great. Great.
But
And this isn't a trick question. I'm not trying to lead you anywhere. I'm just
okay,
asking if you're following what I'm saying.
I'm just I'm
So
just trying not to sound like a stupid asshole when I respond.
no, 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 Luke.
You're doing great.
Believe me, but you're doing fine. And yes, sometimes I like to lead people to a hole and throw them in. That's not me doing that. I promise. Okay. So
Okay.
so 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 the idea is this. So if you remove the testosterone from a human body that grew on testosterone through that male puberty, and you remove that testosterone that helps maintain muscle mass, that helps lean, keeps your lean muscles, tendon strength, and all of these different things that exist of what testosterone has been proven to do in these studies that it says. Would a person that had a body that was developed for testosterone have less of an advantage because they are carrying longer limbs that their body can no longer support?
Yes, and that tracks with men as they get older going on TRT
Yes.
to regain some of their potency. So
Exactly. So if you have a trans woman that has went through male puberty, has massive height, has, like wingspan and all of that type of stuff, and you take away the testosterone, which is essentially the fuel that helps that body move quickly and fast and with strength and burst strength and all that stuff, then you are literally putting a disadvantage on the taller person, the bigger person, because they no longer have the fuel necessary to move that body effectively, which it was designed to do when it went through puberty in the first place, which actually makes the taller trans woman less effective at moving with speed and burst and strength than the cis woman that developed originally with the same body mass because their body and estrogen and everything was naturally designed to carry that weight.
that's that's an excellent talking point, Nate. This comes up at work all the time, and so yes, that's fantastic. Thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah, because rather than going into the data and going into the studies, let's use just logic, right? Because a lot of times these arguments lean on that. Well, they're taller, so therefore they're better at sports. Well, actually, you've taken away the testosterone, so therefore they can't move as quickly and they get tired more quickly than a person that has testosterone in their body. So you're actually putting a huge negative factor on the trans person. And that's one of the reasons, and this is my opinion. This is my opinion. I'm going to say my opinion is why
Sure.
trans women don't do well in athletic sports at the elite levels. Because we are already disadvantaged just by the puberty that we had to be forced to go through to be able to
Hmm.
perform at the top level. So
And
that's my theory on
and
why we don't
also
perform well.
I would just throw in there that like I think also performance is affected by like social factors and the fact that like so many trans people are dissuaded and as we can see from like the national conversation, dissuaded even from the earliest ages of coming out from participating in sports because hey, if you do this sport that you love in any kind of like higher level capacity, you suddenly have your entire life blown up. You know, like how like I gotta be honest, I don't pay attention to college sports, and the fact that I even know who Leah Thomas is an anomaly to me, you know, and it's just that the conservative movement in this country has turned her, a college student who just wanted to participate in swimming, into like a national talking point. And like, no one really wants to deal with that. Like, trans people just want to go out, they want to grill and chill just like everyone else. And uh, we'd much rather do that without a national spotlight of hatred on us. So I think like there's just such it, and it is a for the people who deal with this, it's a mental block from like being able to achieve like their full athletic potential too. Like, you know, you can
Mhm.
watch like the Rocky movies and you see like Rocky is like trying to focus on training and focus on the fight. And like trans people don't get that luxury when it comes to like training and preparing for competitions. Like
Yeah.
we have to always have like this huge weight on our shoulders because there is a concerted and consistent attack on trans rights, or even just the ability, depending on the state you're in, to use the bathroom. Like it's a lot of bullshit to put up with, and I think that hinders people in their athletic achievements too.
Yeah. And I just want to add this too, Luke, because I think it's also relevant. This is why it's important to, if we have a kid that knows that they're trans early in their life and they go through the medical process and they get the diagnosis for gender dysphoria, you give those kids puberty blockers so that way that they don't go through the puberty of their birth sex and they go through the puberty that they prefer to have in their own lives or need to have in their own lives, prescribed by a doctor, prescribed by and also informed by their parents, and all of those things. That's why we have such a small number of trans adolescents going through this process. So when they do want to compete in sports and they do want to play sports with their friends or want to play at the highest level, they're given every advantage that they could possibly have to compete at the level that they deserve to compete at. And so that's why I think it's also a part of the conversation when we talk about trans athletes, is that if a trans athlete knows who they are at a young age, then let them go through the puberty that they want so they can avoid the stigma that is around the idea of going through this male puberty in the first place. And so that's another thing that we have to talk about. And also, I just want to say this too, because a lot of times in these conversations, trans men are left out of the conversation altogether. And there are plenty of trans men, right? Guys who were assigned female at birth. They are playing sports with men all the time. And that is fine. But what we see with Matt Biggs in Texas, and I hear he's back into wrestling, which is really, really great for the community. But in Texas, they forced this trans guy who went through testosterone, had a full beard and everything, and they forced him to compete against women in high school. And now they use that photo of him pinning this cis girl to the ground and winning this competition as, see, this is why trans women shouldn't compete in sports. Right? When it was a trans man that was forced.
Totally unfair. And
and then they took his medals away too.
It's unfair that he was not allowed to compete in the male division, being that he identified as men. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So this is why it's always a bad idea to allow politicians in these very intimate issues. Because when you start letting them in, they start using it as political leverage for their own political careers instead of actually doing hard work, like working on affordability and keeping, our our groceries and our gas prices low, or our healthcare, or the infrastructure, and all of these things. They'd rather talk about the 2 kids that play sports in their state instead of the 1 million people that don't have proper healthcare coverage, because that's hard. They'd rather go after the 2 kids that can't protect themselves. And we should tell those politicians to kick rocks. Right?
I agree.
And that's
I
why,
agree. Okay. Well, thank you both so much for taking my call. I've appreciated talking with you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
See you, Luke.
All right. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Well, that was a wonderful call. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And if you did, let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, if you will. And also consider doing that over on the line as well to support the Transatlantic Call-In Show. And it's a good time. Also, check the links down below, because you can get links to the line, the episode, the Patreon, the merch store. There's a lot of cool stuff over there, and constantly being updated and added to all the time. So do check it all out. And also, if you're in oh god, I stopped at the weirdest, I stumbled over my words at the weirdest possible time and said urine. God, I don't think there's any way to salvage the end of this. So like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat deck is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, dating, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.